Firstly, thank you very much for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
I'm excited. Thank you for inviting me.
So I've gone through your profile and I came to know that you're managing a company and you're founder and you also worked in different roles. So I thought to tell about you and your work to my audience.
Yeah, great. I'm ready. I'm ready and excited to get to know you, the work you're doing, your audience, and I'm just grateful that you're sharing your platform with me.
So before that, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Krista Rime. I am the founder of CRUITx, where I connect really top diverse tech talent with inclusive startups. So I help companies build strong, robust teams full of diversity, whether that's engineering, product, analytics, design, marketing, and sales. And then I also help people find the careers and the jobs that they'll really be able to thrive in. So I do coaching. I will do a LinkedIn and resume makeover. And then I create the digital profiles to showcase my candidates that we use for outreach. And these profiles include short form videos of candidates introducing themselves and answering typical questions they would in a first round interview. And then me and my team take that profile and go out and connect with hiring managers and promote them and get my candidates jobs that way too. So it's a two-part business. I work with companies and candidates.
So when you started this, you're from?
I am from San Jose, California, where I currently reside. Yep. And so I'm originally from Minnesota. I started my career out there at Best Buy, and then I was recruited to come out to California to Advance Auto Parts and be on a product development team. We actually launched their website for them. And so that gave me the opportunity to come to California and Silicon Valley.
So when you started this company,
Yeah, I started this company about a year and a half ago. So it came about, I was in a lot of previous roles. So I've been in engineering, I've been in product, I've been in marketing, in a lot of different companies. And throughout my journey, I just really saw firsthand the lack of diversity. Um, and so I took a step back and thought, like, how can I make an impact? How can I take everything that I've learned being in tech for over 15 years and help make it more diverse and inclusive? So I transferred over into recruiting. It was a new area for me, but then I put on, my product development hat and found areas of improving the recruiting and hiring experience for both candidates and hiring managers. And so what I did is everything up to the first round interview is pretty much repeatable. I mean, I'm sure you've done a lot of interviews and answered the same type of questions over and over again. And you maybe even been in some interviews with hiring managers where they were a little unengaged because they were asking the same questions like over and over again. So I thought, why don't we operationalize this? Why don't we record these typical questions and have candidates answer it? Why don't candidates give work demonstrations, recorded video? So then, one, the candidates can just do it once and they don't have to do it over and over again. And then it gives the hiring managers more insights into who's applying. I don't think you can fully showcase your talents and abilities just on a resume. I like to say that we as talent, as creators, are more than just bullet points on a resume. And so I'm creating a platform to showcase the talents and abilities, and then also a way for hiring managers to be more engaged. They really, the feedback I've gotten, they really like in watching these videos, getting to know their candidates, so that when they do come into the interview process, they can have more in-depth and meaningful conversations.
you worked in tech for 15 years, so that much experience you have. You saw a lot of things. You know how you said you also worked in engineering. So 15 years is very big number. So uh, the
Yeah. Yeah, so my area of expertise was in data, digital data. So I collected user behavioral data from platforms like Adobe Analytics, Google Analytics, and any like third-party platforms that would mine data. And so I started out as an analyst that would take this data and be, how do we make this a better customer experience? How do we optimize our marketing spend? But then throughout that journey, my data was junk. I'm like, why am I having such bad data? As an analyst, you spend so much time cleansing that data to get any valuable insights. So I started hanging around the engineering team and be like, why are you handing me such bad data? Right. And I found out that there was just a communication error between, engineering and business. It's like they spoke two different languages. So I got more involved, just inserted myself into the process and started working with engineers. Of how, as an analyst, we need data, how what format it needs to come in and what instance it needs to come in. And so I became more of an instrumentation facilitator. And then from there, I got really curious. I wanted to be able to do, the engineering part myself. So I taught myself some front end code. And then as a project, I taught myself, more of the back end to be a full stack. And it just evolved from there. I really tried to learn everybody's job around me, like really understand like what their roles were. So I knew in my job how to eliminate pain points. And so from there, I got to work in marketing and marketing tech platforms to help eliminate pain points. I got to work in product to eliminate pain points on the product end. So I really just tried to insert myself and learn as much as I could about all these roles, not knowing that one day it would be really valuable, that I can create a business out of it. Because now I go into companies, help build teams. I've either been on that team or supported that type of team, and can give companies really valuable insights around how employees think, what they really want, what they really need to thrive. Yeah, so that's like was my journey in tech.
So in this one and a half year, so what you did?
Yeah, so it started out with me just going out and recruiting and really trying to be part of different communities. With the pandemic, it really allowed us to create communities online in different ways. So I was on Facebook groups of a lot of different communities there. So, like Black women in tech, Latinas in tech, like every intersection that you could think of, there's a group on Facebook to really inject yourself into, understand what the pain points are, and offer solutions. And so it was Facebook, Discord, Slack. And so with all of that, I learned that um, one, candidates were really tired of the interview process and they didn't feel like they were seen or heard. And so I thought, wow, here's an idea. How do we give candidates a platform to do this? And so I developed these digital profiles, which includes assessment results. So you can get to know your candidates through assessments. It includes, links to resume, supporting docs like LinkedIn, and then also these short form videos, which answers the questions that you typically would in an interview. And so the creation of this digital profile, as you know, had many iterations because we're constantly improving. But that was my main product going into this, is creating these profiles and then helping hiring managers look at these profiles with a different type of lens. So initially I told you about assessment results, right? And immediately people think of assessments as a way to eliminate candidates, right? You don't make these benchmarks, you're out of the cut. And I feel like we are really missing out on a lot of great talent by just using assessments as benchmarks to eliminate. I say I use my assessments to empower. So I have a lot of great candidates that maybe in some areas they need additional support, right? So I work with a lot of marketing candidates that have really great ideas that can really tap into new communities and get the message across, but maybe they weren't trained in writing and in short copy and things like that. And so, what type of support can we get them up to speed so they can take all their talents and then couple this with support that they need maybe in copywriting? So there's tools out there like Grammarly, like Jasper AI. You can connect them with a mentor to help them in this area and then get them to where they need to be to fully thrive. But if we just cut that person out, you're missing out on a lot of great opportunities. So I'm trying to get employers too throughout this experience to shift their mind of how they think about talent, of more as a what can we do for employees so they can thrive, instead of where I feel like the mentality is right now is as employees or going through the interview process, like, what can you do for our company? And we need to have that mind shift. So I don't know if you've been in a lot of maybe consumer facing products or even B2B consumer B2B products, but when we're out there delivering to our customers in that capacity, we always are like, oh, how can we serve our customer? How can we give the best experience? And through this, we've developed better onboarding processes, right? Like, so our customers can onboard quickly. We developed tools for them to be able to use the features at ease, right? It could be videos, tooltips, seminars, webinars, all of this for us to give the best customer experience. And so, what I want to do is take that same mentality of how can we do this for our employees, right? How can we quickly onboard them and give them everything that they need so they can like add value on day one? What tools do they need to support themselves in their job to fully thrive, right? I even would love to see just more of a support team just for employees development, right? Like similar how we have a resource section and support for our customers. So my mission is to take that same mindset of a wonderful customer experience and shift that to a wonderful employee experience.
So, how will be the questions for candidates? For different roles, there will be different types of interviews.
Yeah, yeah. So depending upon the role, we'll answer typical type of questions, whether it's marketing or design or engineering. Engineering is, we'll focus more on those technical questions to make sure you know the philosophies. But what is a really big strong point for my candidates, no matter what role they're in, is their work demonstration. So let's say you're an engineer, front end engineer. Maybe you might give a demonstration on CodePen about a homepage that you developed, and that you can use React and style everything correctly. Things like that. A marketer might have a go to market plan and strategy for a product that they love, right? So everything is specifically tailored for that role and for your profession.
So, how many candidates got benefit because of your thought?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So I have placed um, directly with customers about 20 candidates now, with other candidates that I've helped. So wow, I've literally spoken to probably thousands of candidates that I've helped and mentored. So, the halo effect of that, but like hundreds on that end. So, I work directly with companies and get candidates that way, where I go out and source and really work. But then I also are out in groups and I'm speaking, hold workshops. I do one-on-ones. Like if you really want advice and want to, a half an hour and we can talk about a strategy with your career, I jump on one-on-ones that way. So I really try to make myself available to everybody.
So, you are giving service only to citizens from US or from all around the world?
No, I all around the world. Like, I believe talent is global, right? And when you're coming in from different walks of life, different experiences, that adds value. And so it's really important that we're a global community, right? Um, and a lot of companies in the US are global companies, so they need those insights. You just can't have all the same employees. So I've worked with candidates from Mexico, from Kenya, Nigeria, India, love India, um, like some European countries, so like all over, and it's really great to see. And it's a good learning experience for me too, because learning the differences in culture, like work ethic and things of that nature. So the more that I learn about these different cultures, I can be an advocate for when I go into companies about, the different communication styles, or saying like, oh, that's a communication style and you're taking offense to this. They didn't mean offense, and help bridge gaps that way. And so that's one thing I also experienced a lot being in tech and working with a bunch of different cultures, that I think that we could do better at, is just really understanding each other's points of view and having like that compassion and working together that way, instead of being trapped in our own bubbles, let's say. Yeah.
And you also work as advisor at Shopvize, and you are in this position for 1 year, 6 months.
Yeah. At Shopify, I'm their advisor over like their data strategy and marketing. And so I also help other companies from that way. And then once they grow too, I'll grow into helping them build out their teams. But it's a wonderful platform. I tend to want to be a part of projects that I think are really innovative and groundbreaking. So Shopify is changing the way consumers are shopping and making it a full immersive experience. So think like you can create your own mood boards and your own genres around your style, but then have that be a companion with like a Spotify playlist. And so you can post that. And so you can go through other people's moods and genres and like styles of their boards. So it's a different way of shopping. You can shop by um, holistic styles instead of trying to find those individual pieces yourself. And then I like it. They're even advancing of your playlist that you create around your mood and your style of your clothes, of integrating that with other sort of like light sensory technology. And so you can hook it up to your Alexa, and then like depending on the mood, your lights in your house could change while you're shopping. So they're trying to create a fully at home immersive shopping experience. And it's a really great project to be a part of.
So you said you give service to different country people. So what do you observe in different country people? Do they communicate in the same way? But technology is common for everybody. But I'm sure you will see people having different backgrounds coming in two different perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, every culture is very unique, but yeah, there's definitely different communication styles. I would say um, a big thing, what I personally experienced in tech was overcoming stereotypes with different types of people that you're working with was a big thing. And so, really having that education of learning the culture, the history, communication style to overcome those biases is really critical. And then, what I also just like is asking people about their experiences in tech. So, you know, I've talked to some women in India in some regions where this is their first opportunity to have roles like this, or they learned um, part of their programming just on a whiteboard because they didn't have access to computers and things like that. Um, and just to be able to spread that awareness so people know and can like help and contribute is also very important. So yeah, I would just encourage just hiring managers, people in tech in general, to just go out and speak to different, expertise in tech around the world and get their perspectives. And you never know what new ideas are coming. I mean, India is pumping out a ton of unicorns right now, right? And so there's a lot of investment going to India. Nigeria in the fintech is like blowing up over there. And so I feel like with these areas that we could go and learn and collaborate and make better global products instead of it being really centralized in one country.
And you worked as a COO Pride Places and Pride Places.
Yeah, Pride Places was a great community. They are creating safe places for people in the LGBTQ community. And so I was there for about a year and helped that product, and it went through an incredible transformation. And so that's something that I feel like in tech, we all have to be really adaptable and really listen to our customers. So it started out as kind of a listing directory. We would like to say like a gay Yelp. And we were onboarding our businesses and customers, but we were really thinking about, can this scale? Like, what value are we going to add with this that Yelp can't add, right? Yelp is very established. It's really hard to compete against. And so we started talking to our users, getting out in the community more and understanding like what does the community really want. And they wanted more like educational resources. So let's say you were maybe transitioning. What does that process look like? There's not a lot of documentation out there or pictures or people's experiences all in one place for that experience. So more resources and then just a space for people to be able to gather online and communicate. I'm from a really originally a small town of 1,000 people in Minnesota. And so I always like to put myself in that lens. Like if I was a member in that community in Minnesota, I would be completely isolated, right? So how can we create spaces for people that are in isolation to like be able to escape, be accepted, and have that community? And so that's what Pride Places has shifted into now. Yeah, and I'm really excited to see them grow.
And also, you worked as analytics consultant at Hum Hum, and you worked there for 3 months.
Yeah, that was just a job I took. It was around helping analyze user behavior data for a couple of their clients. And so I love to go in and do an analysis of the overall situation. And so I would look at, their data instrumentation. Is their data good? From their data, I would look at how users are using their applications. Are they using their desktop application differently than their app application? And then I gather in all this information, and then I do a full analysis of what I would recommend for instrumentation, what I would recommend for product changes to create a better experience, and then I also recommend technical solutions that we could glean better insights out of. And so that's what I did for her and him.
Nice. And also, you worked as a senior digital analytics platform manager, and you worked there for 2 years, 3 months. Hardwire is a company.
Yeah, Hotwire. So a lot of these jobs again are in the similar field. So for there at Hotwire, I manage their Adobe Analytics platform and a couple other like logging platforms. And so what I would do is work with the product managers and understand what was going to be released, if it's an update to a feature, if it's a new feature, and make sure that the tracking was correct on there so we could get insights into how users were using it. And then I would either implement the tracking myself because I would use a tag management system, which gave me access to data layers and I could collect myself. But there would be sometimes I would have to work with engineers to collect other data. And so I would be collecting all this data. And then what I would do is send it to a team of analysts to give insights that way. So I primarily act as a facilitator and managing platforms in that role.
So before that, you worked as a senior digital analytics platform manager at Movoto.
Yeah. Movoto, that was more of a startup. So I worked like Hotwire is owned by Expedia Group, so that was a huge company. Harnum worked with large companies, so like Twitter and a few huge banks. And so Movoto was a small startup, so completely different environment. So I like to say bigger companies, they already have their processes established. You can kind of just go with the flow. I tell people if you are ever wanting to work on your side hustle, go to a big company because it will allow you to create that space to do your job but work on your side hustle. At a startup, you don't have that luxury. You have to wear multiple hats. It's really fast paced and it's just a completely different environment. Different type of stress. So for there, I went in, I re-instrumented all their user behavioral data, all their tracking data around their forms. So well, let me take a step back. Movoto is a real estate company. I think they have recently been acquired, so I don't know if their name is still the same. But they were really localized in the Bay Area here to help people find their homes. So our main objective was is for people to, go through the houses, look at all the pictures, but then to fill out leads that we would send to our agents so we would sell homes. So a pretty long sales cycle. And so what I would do is go in and make sure all the data was being tracked correctly on the website and the apps. But since it is a startup, I had, wear multiple hats. So I got to do a lot of analysis to understand how the behavior, like the users were using our platform. I got to be heavily involved in like A/B testing, right, of the features. And so, yeah, I was a platform manager there, but multiple hats. I got to do some product management, some marketing, and things like that. So I also love to tell my candidates that at startups, it is a water hose, just fire hose coming at you with a lot of things. But for me personally, it's environments like that where I learn the most and grow the most, because you just kind of have to deal what's coming with you, and then you're not confined into one little box. You'll learn many different roles about how a company is like formed and run. Yeah.
And you worked as a digital analytic product manager at Mo for 1 year, 1 month.
From where?
Uh,
Emovoto?
no, before that, you worked as digital analytic product manager at Mo
Oh,
Incorporation.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, Move. So Move, that was at realtor.com. I think I was there. I think I must have that wrong on LinkedIn. But that is realtor.com. So it's one of the biggest real estate websites in the US. Our big competitors were like Zillow and Trulia. And again, this similar type of work where I would work with user behavioral data. That one we did a really big platform migration. And so we had to redo all instrumentation, a brand new experience. So that was a little stressful. But we used the data to really quickly ramp up and optimize the experience to where we needed to be. But again, managed logging platforms and worked a lot with product managers, analysts, and designers.
And you worked as a instrumentation manager at PayPal. You worked there for 2 years, 4 months. How was that?
Yeah, I actually did. We called two tours at PayPal. I was there twice. I love PayPal. PayPal is probably my favorite company I worked at. So PayPal is huge, and so they just had an instrumentation department that just worked with engineers and product managers to make sure that we were collecting the right data and that the analysts had everything that they need to drive insights. And so my area was consumer. So I worked on like the PayPal like pay and send app, the money app, and then also the web experience. And so that one was a little more intense because we also built our own internal logging system. And so we managed that. We had like Adobe Analytics and a lot of third party tracking. Yeah, and that was also interesting because I supported global teams. So while the other companies I worked at were primarily here in the States, I was having calls with APAC, EMEA, like all over. So my days would start like at 6 in the morning, and sometimes they wouldn't end till like midnight because of all the global calls. But a really fun environment. Um, that really great development for employees. They had a whole team just for employee development, which I really loved. It's a really great. It was one of the more diverse companies I worked at, so really loved my experience at PayPal.
So, what do you say about your PayPal, Elon Musk?
What was that? Oh, about Elon? What is my opinions about Elon? Wow, my journey with Elon. I would say about 10 years ago, I worshiped the man. Me and my best friend Ayush, we would say we worshipped at the house of Elon. Like we just loved him. But then, uh, I don't necessarily think a single person should have that much wealth and not actually redistribute wealth to improve the lives of the world. So I have a problem with billionaires, to basically. I think he does a lot of great things, a lot of great inventions. Like what he's doing with SpaceX is incredible. But, we have children that need to be fed here on Earth.
You met him?
No, I've not met Elon. No, no, he was out of PayPal well before I was there.
And you worked as advanced auto part, I mean, senior web analytics manager, 2 years
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, so this was the company that got me out to California. They are a automotive aftermarket reseller. So if you are a DIYer with your car or your motorcycle, we would sell all the parts. We actually, our catalog of SKUs of products was over 1 million. So huge inventory. Advanced Auto Parts is a Fortune 500 company, and at the time they did not have a website in like 2009, and which I thought was incredible. So they got a team together to build them an e-commerce website. And that was the first time I got to build something from like nothing up into something with an incredible group of people. When I started, we were doing about $10,000 a week in sales. And then when we left, we were doing around like 4 million. So it was an incredible journey of just huge growth. And it was also the place I probably learned the most in my career because we were such a small team. I got to be involved in every aspect. Our leader, our senior VP was so transparent with what he wanted, with what the goals are. He took the time to really explain things and get us on board. And I haven't had too many other leaders that led like that. But because of his leadership style, we were able to do amazing things and even overperform way above expectations of what leadership thought for us. So yeah, Advanced Auto Parts, I worked with instrumentation, but also managed other analysts, and I managed a lot of vendors. So that role made me realize I did not want to be a people manager. So that's why I took the individual contributor path after that.
And you worked as senior web analyst at Nike.
Yep, at Nike. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I was in digital sport for about a year there where I got to work on the Nike running app. And so there, I primarily analyzed the behavior and made recommendations of how to get people to use the app more, improve activity, things of that nature. But throughout that process, my data was not good. And so I had to get involved more with the data team. And so I got to do a lot of instrumentation on that. And then it was really fun. It's a good group of people open to great new suggestions. So we get to test new product ideas. It was the best shape I was in my life because you got paid to run. So if right before a new release of the app, you go out for a run and see if it works. So I like that. And the employee discount was great too.
And you worked as a web analyst at Best Buy, 3 years there, for the 3 years,
Yeah.
3 months.
Yeah, so Best Buy pretty much launched my career. I started out as a reporting analyst, which, I was just, my life was in Excel, creating reports. I would try to make them as pretty as I could, but it's Excel reports. But from there, I actually got to move on to more analytical work where I could do deep dives with category managers and give suggestions of how to improve the product. And then it was at Best Buy where I really got interested in about how my data was being collected, where I started learning more of the technical aspects of the position.
And you worked as web analyst at Marketing Concepts. You worked there for 11 months.
Yeah, so marketing concepts. So I like this is how much times have changed, and I'm probably aging myself, but I went to school. I have a finance degree and a business admin degree. My family has lawyers in it, so I was going to just take a gap year and then go to law school. Originally, I wanted to get into banking. I wanted to get into corporate banking and then corporate law, but I wasn't getting the job offers that I wanted. I was just getting like really entry level banking jobs, which you didn't even need a college degree for. So one day I was just looking at the open jobs and I came across this role called a web analyst. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. You get, this data, you get to know your behavior, like your user online. And at that time, I'm like, what? Like you can tell what people are doing online. I was completely fascinated by it. So I just started researching it myself and then I applied and I got an interview. So I crammed for 2 weeks of getting books, reading as much as I could to get myself through the interview. And the hiring manager is like, yeah, we think you would be a really good fit. But then I'm like, okay, I actually don't know anything about this role. Like I just learned what I told you in the last 2 weeks. Um, is that going to be a problem? And she's like, no, I actually admire that you have the drive to learn and do all that. So I kind of bluffed my way through getting my first job, but then got to learn on the job. It was a really, really small company, but they're like, if you want books or whatever you need, like we'll buy that for you. So I got to learn and learned all about web analytics. Avinash Kashik, his blog really, really helped me get through in learning the core fundamentals. Eric Peterson of Web Analytics Demystified, his book really helped me. And it created that foundation that launched my career. Why I say I'm aging myself is there used to be a mindset with hiring managers that would look at you and see what potential you had, to see if you had the drive, if you had the passion, and then they would be like, we want this person, and then we'll teach them the skills that we need to get them there. And I feel like now, if you're coming out of college, if you're coming out of boot camp, people see that and like with no experience, and they're like automatically dismiss you, right? You're seeing some people, some job positions with like entry level, like need 7 years of experience for an entry level job in tech, and that's just ridiculous. So um, I want that same mindset that my first manager had with me that launched my career, of really looking at somebody's true potential and then help guide them to get them there. So, yeah, marketing concepts launched my career. I was deep into Google Analytics. That's what they had in about 3 different websites. One is American Musical Supply, which has significant traffic. So I got to learn all about A/B testing. I got to get enough traffic to, do marketing analytics that is statistically relevant, sample size and things like that. So yeah, I was in my tiny little town that I lived in, happened to have a marketing agency, and like I got my first job there.
So CRUITx. So why this name?
Yeah, so I want to change the recruiting experience. So I just recruiting, there was already recruiting experience, so I just shortened it to Cruit. And it's X, the new experience, but X can also denote, who are you, right? Fill in the blank. Whoever you are, like I will represent you, and bring your talents to the table. So a little double meaning there with the X.
So how was the first experience of yours once you started your company as a founder?
Oh, it's like really scary to not like have that safety net, that structure that you have in companies when you're in bigger companies. So um, the first part is just putting yourself out there, which was scary. And when I did put myself out there, it was overwhelming how many people wanted to support me. And so if you are out there and you want to try something new, or that's you're getting out of college and you want to break into tech, or you already have an other career and you want to break into tech, like it's scary. But there are people out there. There's so many people out there that want to support you and see you succeed. So that was the first step. The second step is, as I was doing this and learning, I knew I needed to surround myself with a great support system. So immediately I got myself an executive coach, to have somebody help guide you, support you, even just bounce ideas off of. I joined other groups, right? Support groups, so recruiter groups, women founder groups, Black women founder groups, like all of this, because there's just so many people that want to help you. And so that was really, really, really big for me. And then also, I feel like since I was in tech and everything moved so quickly, I felt like I needed to do something now. Like I needed to produce something like now, now, now. I'm not going quick enough. And once I realized I needed to take a step back, and just show up, keep doing what I do, things will just fall into place. And once I changed my mindset of more of, okay, let's just focus on my mission. I want to help people break into tech. I want to help companies grow. I want, these critical things. Then my contracts started falling into place. People just started finding me saying I needed help. And so I'm kind of like, you get what you throw out into the universe. If you throw out like anxiety and like, oh, I need to do this, you're not going to get that. That's what you're going to get back. But if you throw out like positive, um, and just really focusing on helping people, what your critical mission is, whatever that is, it will come back to you. So I think that was something else that I really learned throughout my journey is that mind shift attitude of just really being positive and focusing on my mission and my values. And then finally, after that is coming into place, and I'm now getting more contracts coming in and I'm getting more job placements, is really setting up your infrastructure. And so I'm now working on really automating as much as I can, to free up my time. So I'm not doing manual tasks, but I can get out there, speak with you, with others, and really get my mission across.
So you're being connector, you're being mediator between candidate and a company. Uh, so what is the procedure? How you create wealth?
Yeah. So, first of all, when I meet with a company, I want to know everything about your business, everything about your goals and your objectives, and then everything about the immediate team. So, I'm not just um, taking tasks, right? Um, so, once I know all of this, there's times where companies are like, oh, well, we need maybe a senior design lead, right? And then when it comes down to it, I'm like, oh, but you said that you want a lot of control over the design. You said that you really want to work closely with the product team yourself. So maybe you don't want to waste all your money on the senior design lead. Maybe you just need a UX UI researcher, right? And then they're like, oh yeah. So that's a way I add value is really working with teams of understanding the job requirements, what they want in success in 60 days in a year, and really seeing if that job that they initially thought is the correct one. And I found many times it's not the correct one. And so that's your top of funnel. Like if you have a mismatch of your job requirements and then you get somebody in thinking like this is what they're going to do and it's nowhere near what they were thinking you're going to do, they're going to leave. And so it's really critical to make sure that your job description, your requirements are spot on and you're as transparent as possible. If you're going to require somebody to travel 80% of the time, you need to say that and not be like, oh, well, there'll be some travel, right? Well, that's a lot of travel. And so I really work with the company of being really clear and transparent. And then what I do is I create outreach material for the companies, which doubles as another branding effort. So this material includes everything you can know about the company, the founder's story. I either get the founder to tell me their story and record it, or I document it itself and create a founder story video. I either do video or audio of the other founders and the direct team members that you'll be working with. So I find a lot of times candidates really want to know who they're going to be working with, but sometimes you don't even know that till after you start your job. And then you'll be like, oh, I do not mix well with this person at all. So they quit. So I'm trying to give as much transparency to the candidate as possible so expectations are aligned for the interview process. Um, and so once I create the outreach material with all about the company, all about the team and the roles and everything, I use that for sourcing candidates. So I go into different groups, I post on different job boards and things of that nature, give it to the candidates, and they say like, "Whoa, this is really great," or "Oh, thank you, this is very clear." And this is not the role for me. So I'm happy with both. I'm happy when people are like, this is not the role for me, because then we're not going to waste each other's time. Um, and so if candidates are want to proceed, and then I think they're a great fit, we proceed to make them their candidate profile where they answer the questions, they take the assessments, and then I ship that off to the hiring team. The hiring teams look at these profiles and give me feedback. There's times that they can't decide on a couple candidates, so they bring me in and we talk. And so I talk. A really focus when we're narrowing it down to the two candidates is what do you need somebody to do in 60 days, a year, and who will best align with that. And so that's another value add that I have is helping people choose the right candidates. Um, so that's my recruiting process. As this all evolves, too, a lot of companies are talking about retention strategies. So I don't know if you're here in the States, we're calling it the Great Resignation. So I think last year, 1 in 4 people in the US quit their job. And so, how do we get employees to stay? And onboarding, your onboarding experience, when employees go through that, in their mind, they determine whether they're going to stay here for a year or longer, right? So the onboarding experience is very, very critical. So now I started help developing onboarding experiences for companies in the functional area. So not like I don't do if you got all your legal papers signed and you went through all, the legal training and policies. I want you, like, let's say you're a front end engineer, to be able to do your work on day one. So, what does that mean? Like, what environments do you need set up? Here's tutorials of how to set up your environments. Here's a tutorial of the existing code base and like best practices for the company of how to work with the code base. Here's the key players that you will need to be in contact with, right? Here's everybody on the DevOps team. Here's how the release cycle works. Like all those things that sometimes smaller companies, you have to go to an individual knowledge holder for all of this. I want to document and create really great onboarding flows similar to how you would onboard in any sort of product and make it interactive and enjoyable. And so I do onboarding development that way. And the goal is for retention. And then eventually I will start creating solutions for more employee culture and retention. So my value add is I'm a consultant. I'm a growth consultant, either for a growth for your company or growth for the individual. And I'm not a recruiter. I view recruiters as a lot of, yes, we'll find you your talent. Here's resumes, push people through the process, and don't do the extra step of really holistically understanding the situation and being able to pivot if need be.
So you're connected with the companies which are there in US or the companies which are from other countries too?
Yeah, so my main area is the United States right now. That's what I'm really comfortable with and what I know. But I am looking at partnering with other recruiters that will be international.
So coming to the candidate side, so how they are going to get in use your service?
Yeah, so what I typically like to do is candidates reach out to me, and then I like to just have a half an hour meeting. Because I want to make sure that the candidate feels comfortable with me, that we connect. Because we will work with each other for a couple weeks pretty closely. So In this initial meeting, I just like to get to know the person. I like to ask them what their career goals are, what areas that they feel like they've been stuck in, like where do they need help. And then from there, we can start creating a strategy. So, for example, I am working with two candidates right now. One is just finishing college, and the other one is already, you know, established in her career but wants help with growth. And so, for the candidate finishing college, we are really focusing and positioning on her of all of her potential, right? Of all of her drive, all of her successes that she had in college, that we're translating that to the two roles that she really wants to focus on getting. And so we're updating her LinkedIn and her resume that way. And then we are also doing very targeted keyword searches. So recruiters on LinkedIn can find her profile and then getting the resume through the applicant tracking systems, right? And so that's kind of like I call the makeover of your resume and your LinkedIn. With the more established candidate, what I find is um, people are afraid to talk about their expertise, and this may be a cultural thing in the States, especially about, and especially with women, about being perceived as bragging, like boastful, right? And so with her, I'm really yo, you're so much better than what you were saying on your LinkedIn. Like you've accomplished so much more, and we need to talk about all the wonderful things that you're doing. And so I can be a vessel of be like, okay, this is what we're going to say, and take that anxiety away of making them feel like, oh, I'm being bragging or boasting, and update that way. And then, so we updated her LinkedIn profile and her resume, and already she's just getting a lot more views and a lot more activity from that. And so once we have that updated, I encourage my candidates just to start applying for jobs, when jobs that they like, now that everything's like updated. And then we start working on their candidate profile. And so I choose questions for them to answer that are the same tone and feel as their LinkedIn profile and their resume, but we can just get a little bit more in depth now with their candidate profiles. And then once their candidate profiles are developed and ready to go, then my team and me, we go out and find hiring managers, hiring teams on LinkedIn. And then we directly reach out to them. So I say, hey, I have a really great candidate I would love to introduce you to. Like, here's all their all their qualifications, send the profile. And they're like, yeah, this is really cool. This is like, we want to meet them, and then bring them in that way. And then, so what my team does is we get past the applicant tracking systems by doing directly reaching out, and then we get candidates interviews that way. And then once they're interviewing, we do coaching on how to give like a proper interview with the STAR methodology. So let's frame all of our questions with the situation, task, action, and results. And so we coach on that to get them through the interview, and then they get their job. One other area that I have helped with is the negotiations. I feel like a lot of candidates don't want to negotiate or have feel some sort of way about negotiating. So I help with that process, and eventually I just want to insert myself into that process where I negotiate on behalf of my candidate, and they don't even have to negotiate, because like it gives people so much stress and anxiety. So I'm trying to figure out the best way of me becoming the negotiator. So I've been working on that. So that's kind of the end to end of how I work with candidates. Typically, if a candidate goes quickly with giving me the information, we can do everything within 2 weeks.
So, how many companies took your service?
About six right now. I'm at max. Like, so I'm hopefully I'm in talks with a couple other companies now, and if they come on board, I'll be at max capacity for what I'm doing now. And then I can focus on my larger vision. So my larger vision, I will be building a platform where candidates can log in and like create their interview themselves, where it's not a manual process for me. And then companies can log in and view all the candidates' interviews. And so I hope to start development on that within 2 months.
And how much you charge for candidates or for the companies?
Yeah, so the companies, they pay 30% first year salary for the candidates that I place. That includes doing the whole marketing, recruitment, development, and outreach, and the delivery of the candidate profiles and any sort of, extra consulting they might need to get them through the process. The candidates, right now, I am running a promotion. So I'll do the LinkedIn makeover and the resume makeover and the development of the candidate profile for $199. And then if they want to use the outreach service where we get them jobs, that is 2% of their first year salary if we get them a job. If they get a job on their own through the other means that we give them, then they do not pay us the fee.
For every candidate, for every country, for example, people from my country, from India, if they want to join or if they want to take your service, the same procedure?
Yes, it's the same. It's the same procedure. I will say that I do, with that initial meeting, I talk to people, and there have been times that I have waived fees for financial hardships. So I don't want the paywall up front to be a barrier for people reaching their true potential. So I have done things like, okay, once we get you a job, you can pay me the fee after, and so on and so forth. But I want to be able to help people from all types of financial backgrounds.
But for different country people who wants to work in US, they need the visa. So how will be that?
Yeah, so I do not help with acquiring visas. There are some companies that will support you in visa, primarily the larger ones. So if they want to do the outreach and focus on trying to get into like FANG, for example, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, Google, or larger companies like IBM or Adobe, where they do sponsor, I can help with that. But we would have to target companies that do sponsor visas. And a lot of startups here, unfortunately, at this time, do not sponsor visas.
So do candidates need to have a work experience in order to get the work?
No, no. So, for people coming out of college, typically they should have had some sort of internship, right? But what I've found with a few of my candidates that didn't have any work experience, that work demo that I give them has gotten them into positions. So I will work with somebody to on a project to give them that level of experience to get them through the interview. Um, for example, I've had one candidate that was really interested in learning e-learning development. I didn't even know this was a role. She found it. So in larger companies now, the training teams, typically used to be like, oh, we'll do a PowerPoint presentation or whatever, are now doing videos and like other like PowerPoints, videos, PDF, audio, like full-fledged immersive training experiences in these companies that are called e-learner developers. And so you'll have to know audio editing, video editing, some design and everything. And like, this is really cool. So, what we're doing with her, and she has no experience in this, is she's going to create her own e-learner plan. And then I find free tools for her to develop this. So, Canva is a great tool that she can use. Um, and then Headliner for audio editing is another great tool to use. So I find all these free tools for people to use to create their own demo to showcase their talents and abilities, and that has been enough to get interviews, even if you don't have experience.
So what compliments that you got from the companies that you connected with?
Yeah, so I guess it was the videos. I had one head of talent I was working with who said he couldn't wait for me to send him the next candidate and just watch all their videos and learn more about them. And so I know that the videos are very, very important, but there's a way of delivering these videos. So I do the editing of the videos. I add some like background music, titles, and things of that nature to just really get a more of a vibe. And I even work with candidates on the type of music that they want to that more represents them. And so some might be really upbeat, some might be maybe low bass, whatever. But it's like it reflects their personality more. And so yeah, so for him, he's just like, I can't wait for the next person, because each video was so different, but I felt like I really knew the individual before coming in. Other compliments was I would have completely passed on this candidate giving the resume. But it was their work demonstration that we were like, wow, we need to bring this person in. And so that's great. So those are a few of the compliments that I've got from the candidate side. They really liked my personalization and spending time with them and understanding their needs, and the transparency that I'm bringing to the table. So I've even had candidates that I'm like, I'm sorry, like this wasn't a fit. They decided to take another direction. And they're like, oh, but thank you. I loved working with you. And can we keep in touch? I'm like, absolutely. And we still keep in touch, and I'm helping. And then it transfers them into, will you help me find a job? And now I'm working with them finding a job. So both sides, it's all about relationship building and connecting. And that's what I'm trying to bring to the recruiting and hiring.
So different companies are offering different things. One few companies offers they create products, and other companies create they are service oriented companies. So and when it comes to candidates, you see a lot of different candidates like who came from completely different backgrounds, having different experiences, having different educational
Yeah.
background, right? And also companies have different viewpoints. Like I want they are building these kind of products, or they are giving these kind of services. So from companies point of view, you know what they need. You understand what exactly they are looking for, and also you know what candidates are looking for. So it is very important for you to understand two sides and connect them, and you have to make connected. So that's a very very intelligent thing.
Yeah, I'm a matchmaker. I like to say I'm a matchmaker. And to be able to have the insight of finding candidates that fit well, that are bringing in transferable skills. So I worked with this excellent marketer who was a fifth grade school teacher who went into marketing. But he's like, I was kind of stuck. I want to get into tech, bigger marketing, and I don't know how. And he goes, I know nothing about tech. I'm like, oh my gosh, you were a school teacher? We're going to definitely get you into ed tech. They would love to have you in ed tech. You know the school systems, you know the parents, you know the students. Like marketing in that ed tech would be perfect for you. So now I'm introducing him to ed tech companies, and he's getting traction that way. And a lot of candidates he didn't even really think of ed tech, right? He didn't think there was such a thing of just specific ed tech. So I can match that way. I've worked with, the, people coming out from coding boot camps that were previously managers, or one person owned a bakery, and he's like, I was a baker, and like now I'm a coder. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know how to run a business, deliveries and schedules, you know how to manage people. Like those are all incredible transferable skills that tech needs. So play on that. And then so he started taking that more into his interviews, and like it helped him land his job. So I also help candidates who are transferring into tech. Like what you did before is not wasted. All those skills that you had before have helped you build up to this moment for you to transfer and bring it into tech. And that's what I really like to highlight too. So finding those transferable skills and matching them with industries within tech where they can thrive.
So you worked in different companies, you know the technology side, and you understand the business side. So how is this?
Yeah, so with some of the smaller companies, knowing the different tech stacks has been really important, um, because I'm not working all the time with people that really fully understand these. And so I'm able to be like, some are like, we want to hire our very first engineer, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. Um, so then I can talk to them, understand their current platform, understand maybe where they want to go, right? So if you're really gonna scale with all the features do you want, you're gonna have to get off of WordPress, right? You don't want to start with a WordPress developer. Let's find you like a full stack with React and cloud services or something, right? So I'm trying to bring in that with some of the smaller companies. With some of the larger companies that I work with from the tech side, it's just really good to understand their tech stack and then find a developer that meets those requirements further than just, the bullet points that they say, like must know React, must know JavaScript. So that's been helpful to be able to talk to those hiring managers. And when um, sometimes I just they get a relieved look on their face. They're like, "Oh my gosh, you actually know this technology." I'm like, "Yeah," and so I can help with the screening process a little bit better than um, just a typical recruiter. So that's helped out. There's just been opportunities where I'm like, maybe you don't even want to hire somebody right now. I think you really need to bring in a consultant, get everything established, and then bring on your new hire rather than trying to bring on a new hire and then have them solution it without you having full knowledge that this is the correct solution, right? And so it's just, again, coming back to being that consultant for companies and giving them the solutions that they need to grow, not necessarily what, you know, might not have been their original thought.
So I'll put your website link in the description of this video. People who finds our video on YouTube can see the your website and can take your service, and also can candidates who wants to join and who wants to take your service can also check out what you are doing.
Yeah, so you can my website on LinkedIn. You can message me. Just search for Krista Rime. And to some extent, I'm not super active on Instagram, but if you DM me on Instagram, I'm active on DM. So you can reach to me a variety of channels, and we can connect and talk.
So I'll put links in the description. People can see, and also I'll put the website on the screen. People
Okay.
who are watching us can see on the screen. So at
Okay.
last, as a founder, as a person who worked in very large companies in the world, and have huge experience and have a lot of technical background, and also you understand the business. Now you're owning the business, and you created your own business, and you started doing it. So, as an observer, what do you say about my work? Have you seen any videos of mine on YouTube?
Yeah, I have seen videos. So that's immediately what I did when you reached out. Um, I like saw these videos. I ran to my husband and I like check out like what he's doing. This is so cool. What I really loved is that you talk to people from all around the world. So immediately when I started seeing like all the flags, I'm like, this is so incredible to get so many different perspectives and across so many different specialties. I really think you're doing great, incredible work, and then just spreading awareness is huge. So just for the candidates that I have talked to, so many like they hear like we want to get into tech. We want to get into tech. Typically, they think tech is cyber security or an engineer, and they aren't. They don't know that tech is so more vast than that. And so you are creating facilitating this mechanism of really educating all people of the different aspects of tech. That tech doesn't just look the same, right? Is like more than the Mark Zuckerberg look. There's black and brown people, like all different types of people out there making tech. And so I just loved your channel. So I was really, it put a huge smile on my face when you reached out.
And what do you say about this conversation and my questioning?
Yeah, it was a great conversation. You're a great interviewer, very thorough. But no, I like it just more casual like this and learning about experiences. So fabulous experience. Thank you.
So I want you to reach all over the world, and I want you to help more companies and also more candidates in the world. I'm sure in coming days you're going to reach very big place. You're going to work with very big founders, CEOs, and also
Yeah.
lot of needy candidates. I'm sure from my side, audience who are watching definitely will reach you and take your service.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for reaching out. And I really enjoy getting to know you and keep up the amazing work.
Can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your permission?
Yes.
And also, can I put this video and audio clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
Yes.
So yeah, keep going, keep doing what you love, Krista, and make people smile.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.